Okay?
Yeah, Jorg, up to this point with the Casablanca line, we've always been protected, if you will, from bugs or viruses and whatnot because...
From bugs? Oh, I don't think you've been protected
bugs,
from bugs.
Viruses, because we're not connected to the internet. So now that we got this will have a web browser on it, how susceptible is the rest of the system going to be to viruses, Trojans, and all that?
Okay, well, the answer is that we've done a lot of things to protect the Bogart SE from any possible Linux influence. First of all, yes, we're using the Linux or Linux or whatever is, however it's pronounced. We use this as an operating system, but we do not give the user access to the to the Linux operating system. So you cannot go ahead and install any kind of crazy Linux software that you downloaded from some fancy website. We're still using it like we always used an operating system. It's something that is underneath the system, and that gives us certain advantages to access files and interfaces, but it's not the case that you can use this as a computer now. You can, of course, always have a partition and then a dual boot and then installing Windows on it, but we are shielding this because of the hard drive partitions. So we have a hard drive partition that is available only for the video editing part, and the other parts of the hard drive are completely protected and shielded. So we think that we are not endangered by any viruses and so on. But of course, it is true to some extent, now that we're having a more major operating system, we also have some of the disadvantages that major operating systems are having. I don't think that there was any Linux serious bug or worm or whatever in the last years, and I don't think it will really come, because most of the viruses are aimed at the Windows platform, not so much at the other platforms. But it is possible. Not likely, but possible. Okay?
Yeah, you're on the editing side for surround sound or anything. I know we got high definition. Everybody likes beautiful stuff. They also like to have like the surround sound and making things work. You know, is there anything in that system that it will allow us to do any surround sound?
Well, first of all, we have new output formats, interfaces that I forgot to mention. We now have SBDIF and coaxial outputs out of the machine that will output digital sound, and if that original sound was digital, like if you read it off a DVD or so, then you would also have a digital surround output from that. So you can now take an audio amplifier that has a digital input, coaxial or optical, and then connect it to it, and then completely ignore the analog outputs of the system. You can do that now. So for the first time, we have a surround-capable output format out of it that's not just forced to save it on a disk to be played back by some other machine. But the audio tools to do surround is a different issue. As you know, we have some surround processing software that give you some nice surround effects, but as soon as we start calling it Dolby, we have to start paying to the Dolby Corporation, which for some reason we have decided to not do so at this point. So, yes?
On your video output choices, are you able to, since you're connected to the web, are you able to like send videos to like a YouTube or a site like that with this machine?
Okay, well, right now, not directly. What we can do is we have this internet browser capabilities, and of course that allows you to do a few things, but for the reason that had just been, we just talked about, to protect our system from viruses, we do not allow direct connection from our video and audio storage to something that is on the web. Because as soon as we would do it, it would automatically mean it's chaotic. But what you can do is you can output it in just the right format, and you can output it on disk or USB stick or whatever, or on the network, and then use a PC or something to easily do that. We will render the right output for you, but you would still have to do the actual file handling by something else.
Question. I know we're talking about HD here, but there's like 35 flavors of HD right now in the neighborhood.
I think more than that, but
well, yeah, every day it keeps growing. But are we able to handle now all the flavors? Are there codecs built in for being able to take it, whether it's JVC or Canon's proprietary or whatever they are?
Okay, well, the answer is yes. That was one of the main motivations for us to move to Linux, just because Linux is the most compatible operating system on the market. So for example, if you download the VLC media player that's available for all the platforms out there, that's based on the Linux libraries. And I think it's the most compatible player device that you get. It's a little tool that is free that plays everything. It plays all these formats, and it doesn't care about file names and extension names and so on. It just analyzes the video very quickly and then it plays it back. And so as long as that is the case, we are automatically compatible with this because we're using the reader software and decoder software that Linux provides. So, for example, just a few days ago, I asked around if someone could provide me material that has been shot with the Sony XD-Cam, X1 camera. And Carol and Lou Bruno have sent me discs like this, and we could immediately use it just because it's been understood by the Linux loader, and therefore there was really no work other than a little user interface. But all the conversion was very easily done. Now, that brings me to a little point in the philosophy about how do we handle video inside of this. Most of the video formats out there that are high def are motion compressed, most of them are. The HDV and also all of the AVC HD cameras and also the XD-Cam standards are all compressed. I think Panasonic has some standards that are not motion compressed, but those are in the professional grade series, and they are very expensive. But anyway, you cannot directly edit on motion compressed files because motion compressed files will work with groups of pictures, and you cannot cut a group of picture open. So a typical size for a group of pictures would be 15 pictures, half a second. So the system would look at the camera, would take 15 pictures and compress it into one data stream that only has one image that is complete, and then only record the differences between this image and the following images. So for editing, what we do is we add up all these differences, and we save every file for the purpose of the editing as an iframe file. So, so that you have the liberty to do your cut at every frame there is. You're not limited to some gob sizes. You don't have to deal with this anymore. So when you read this in, there is a conversion that happens in background, so it doesn't delay your work at all. But it does pump up the video size, since now we're talking with iframes only. Still, the video quality will be untouched by this. It takes a little more space on the hard drive. That's not an issue because hard drive size is very large these days and very inexpensive. But it handles it that way. And it does the same if you're in an HTV project and you load in DV footage, it will just pump it up into high definition MPEG frames, MPEG iframes only. And if you load in AVC HD footage into that project, it will just convert the video into the right size. So in effect is that the videographer, once he has this unit, does not have to care about file formats and camera formats anymore. You can buy one very expensive XD-Cam camera from Sony and an inexpensive HDV one, and then even as a third camera, an AVC HD camcorder that is not as good as the others. And then load in the footage into the very same project and edit it. So this is, I think, a great advantage. You don't have to decide what kind of camera you want to buy in. You can really have your pick, since it's very frustrating for the user to otherwise select the right camera. Thanks.